Hi, good afternoon. Great, so I'm Divya. I'm from a team called Azure Dedicated. Why dedicated, right? So this is a new group and our mission is to help customers running with bizarre, unconventional, traditional workloads, which is not easy to lift and shift or implement into Azure. And that's where dedicated team is set in a newly formed team. I think we are like a year old. And our mission is to purely help customers to undergo a cloud transformation journey. This is an interactive session. I would love to, have your conversation. We had a very formal session with our CVP this morning, and this is a second round with more technical focused. And if you want to, have some questions, feel free to raise hands. With that, let me get started with the portfolio of different products that we have under Azure Dedicated. The main focus is VMware. Why VMware? Around 75% of organizations in some form or the other run VMware on premises. And the reason why we are focusing on VMware is the mission critical applications run on-prem, but the modernization runs on the cloud. How do you connect these two worlds together? And this is where Azure VMware Solutions comes into picture, where you can simply lift and shift your applications without re-implementation, without changing your network design, and you can simply lift and shift your applications, and then you can merge into Azure and integrate with the first-party services, and it becomes truly a first-party citizen inside Azure. SAP, we have two offerings. SAP runs on virtual machines. SAP runs on bare metal as well. And bare metal is, again, our group. Cray, companies who are interested, manufacturing companies who wants to do this AI and those complex workloads that requires memory-intense processing. Cray runs on Azure. You can use that. NetApp, Azure NetApp files can be integrated into Azure VMware Solutions as your secondary storage. You can attach to your local host from the vCenter, or you can attach NetApps into your guest OS operating system. I will show you a live demo on that. SkyTab is not in preview yet. It's in we are in the early stages of, we'll be announcing preview sometime next month. So SkyTab offering is for customers who run IBM AIX workloads on Power hardware, and you can simply lift and shift IBM AIX workloads into SkyTab on Azure. And from there, you can start integrating with Azure native services. So you have so many plethora of services available in Azure that you can just pull each component of it, stitch them together, and you can have a consolidated infrastructure running in Azure. What are the typical use cases that we get from customers? One common major theme that we get is, hey, my data center evacuation time is up. We need to evacuate. We have like time 2020 to do so. How could we quickly migrate, right? That is one biggest theme. I'm not sure if anybody is in the same situation. Anybody? Data center evacuation time ticking? Awesome. Yes, if you have those time-sensitive deadlines coming up and you have a pressure from your CFO to do some TCO savings, and you want to prove yourself to be a hero, then yes, reach out to us, we'll help you out. The second one is if customers want to use just the DR. They say like, hey, data center evacuation could be a third step, but baby step will be, I just want AVS, Azure VMware Solution, to be my primary site or my secondary site, or vice versa. That's one baby step. The second baby step is, hey, I will continue to have on-prem. I just want additional capacity in Azure. Help me with that. Once I'm confident with that, then I will do DC evacuation. So that's another use case. And the third one is, once Azure, you're part of Azure VMware solution, you are like a first-party citizen inside Azure, then you get to enjoy all the Azure services. So AVS is Azure, right? So that's why we are very different from our other cloud competitors. So you can basically, since these resources are part of ARM, you can integrate, you can use your CLI, you can use your Terraform, you can use your DevOps chain to deploy this, the entire suite in minutes. Why AVS? And there are 5 top reasons, and I will pick the first one, speed. What is speed? Today, in your IT department, say that you want to have a new data center. You have to first work with your supply chain. You need to go to your, talk to your vendors, get the quote, order SKUs, and you have to get your budget approved. It easily takes at least 3 to 4 months to even spin up your data center. But here, you come to the Azure portal, add the bare metal resources, and automatically we provision the full VMware SDDC stack within 45 minutes. Once the SDDC stack is enabled, you get your own private cloud. You are then log into vSphere, and then you can start your business as usual, right? So there's continuity. Second, skills. This is one of the other concern that I get to hear in the booth or in any sessions like this. Our customers, IT administrators come and say, hey, is my job gone? Now that everything is in Azure, is my skill gone? So this is the best part. You're continuing to be a VMware admin, but your portfolio is now broadened. You're not just VMware admin, you're a cloud admin. You're also a DevOps manager because of the CI/CD rollup that you can take. So this one message we keep saying that, hey, in fact, you're broadening your horizon, you're broadening your skill set, you're not doing your repetitive maintenance of your infrastructure, you're rather focusing on your key business and not infrastructure. Leave the infrastructure to Microsoft and you take care of your business. That's the key message. Extensibility. You can basically modernize, like I said, once you're part of Azure, you basically integrate with every core services you have in Azure. You can use Azure Backup, you can use Azure NetApp files, right? So those are the key capabilities that you can easily integrate. Savings. You have to pay for your data center, you have to take care of your hardware maintenance. If the hardware gets end of life, it's your headache to replace it. You need to have somebody in the data center looking after. That's a lot of overhead, right? If the infrastructure is given to Azure, you just pay for those bare metal nodes, and you're done. Rest is all taken care of us, and you just take care of your. So the responsibility is anything below the ESXi, it's Microsoft. Anything after ESXi, it's you. So all the guest operating system level work is managed by you. So the savings is you just pay for the nodes and manage your VMware as a service. We also planning to publish TCO calculator sizer in the portal, so you can start calculating your, you can input how many virtual machines I run today, and if I convert it, what is my savings? So you can self-serve and analyze yourself. Confidence. This is basically an Azure's product. Azure, VMware coming together and bringing the solution as part of their, I think you must have heard their announcement even last night from Pat, that this is a big collaboration between the two companies. This solution is VMware certified. We work very closely with VMware on the patches. The latest and greatest patches gets released from VMware. It comes to Microsoft. We do our regression testing. Once we are confident, then we make the patches available to you. And today, we push the notifications around the 7-day notice, and then you will get the latest and greatest updates. On the infrastructure side is also taken care of Microsoft. And Microsoft will be your single point of contact for sales and support. This one I can swing through, like the on-prem, the way this is going to work is, I think you're going to talk through the connectivity. at a very high level, we can connect your on-prem to Azure VMware solutions by 3 ways. Site-to-site VPN, point-to-site for your quick testing. For production grade, we recommend express route connectivity. As part of this bundle, 3-node price bundle, we give you vSAN, NSX, vSphere fully licensed stack, along with HCX, and a default 1 gig connectivity. And in case of, you want to do some a big wave migration, then we recommend you can talk to us, and then we'll give you the best bandwidth to accommodate those heavy migrations.
Let's do a demo.
So the features, we are bringing the 3 best worlds. Number 1, you're still using VMware's ecosystem, VMware's SRM, VMware's HCX, right? You also get to use Azure, native Azure capabilities, Azure Monitor, Azure Backup, or you can use your ARM CLI, and then, correct. And then the third one is you can manage your infrastructure infrastructure is managed by us, but you continue to use your own, managing your VMware as a service as you do today. So that's the third benefit. Regions. So we are going to be live in 10 different regions. Today, we are live on US East, US West. Amsterdam, we launched just last month. And then 7 more regions over the period of 2020. With that, I will hand off to Benedict.
Thank you so much, Divya, for the nice overview. Yeah, good afternoon from my end as well. Welcome here at MS Ignite, and also a very special hello to our remote attendants from the world around. So we are switching now away from these slides and switching into a live environment where we'll do a very quick service walkthrough of how this actually looks from a technical perspective. I'm Benedict. I'm working as a technical architect in Microsoft's global black belt organization, supporting our largest and most complex customers from a data center perspective in the journey towards Azure and cloud infrastructure solutions in general. So I'm here in the native Azure portal, and what we're going to do now is creating our Azure VMware Solutions infrastructure. For that, we're covering 3 different layers. First, we are creating our service, where we basically tell Azure we want to leverage the AVS service in this specific region, in this specific subscription. Then we're going to procure capacity. As Divya just said, we are basically subscribing to physical nodes, hyper-converged setup. So we have CPU, memory, and storage, all flash storage in the same hardware. We are subscribing to that, and then we are actually creating a VMware private cloud, all of that kicking off from the native Azure portal. So let's go first to the services section. That's very fast and very easy to create another instance of our service layer. I'm just specifying our existing resource group or creating a new one, giving it a logical name. This is Ignite 101. Can you all see it in the back? Good enough? Perfect. So let's deploy it to our new region in West Europe, and also specifying a gateway network. This is basically to ensure that all the connectivity options we just mentioned in terms of VPN or express route connection between on-premise systems and the Azure VMware Solutions environment, or also the backend connection towards native Azure, doesn't overlap with your existing IP space from a routing perspective. Be valid, perfect. Doing a quick validation of those. This only takes 2 minutes. I already have a service, so I'm stopping the creation right here and switching onto the layer of the Cloud Simple nodes. We currently have 3 different SKUs available. The smaller one, the CS28, with 28 native CPU cores. Larger one with CS36, and the latest deployment in Western Europe with the CS36M, which leverages a bit more hardware capabilities for the same price point in there. I can leverage the Azure portal here to procure additional capacity to subscribe to. I already have a few nodes that are currently not belonging to a private cloud, so I'm skipping that, and now without further ado, creating a private cloud environment, leveraging our existing AVS service here, and creating a new VMware private cloud. Again, very fast and straightforward process. In there, we are now leaving the native Azure portal and leveraging Azure Active Directory single sign-on to a service-specific portal. We plan to integrate that functionality towards the native Azure portal at a later point in time. The only parameters I need to do to create a full-fledged VMware HA cluster is provide a name, select a location. Private cloud understands the concept of placement groups. That's basically a group of physical racks connected to the same network infrastructure, so I can ensure that my deployments do sit in different physical racks. Selecting the procured capacity in there. I have 4 nodes available, so let's use them. And the only other parameter I need to specify is the network range where I do actually want to deploy my infrastructure in. So the IP addresses where the ESXi server sits in, the recenter sits in, etc. Just specifying this here quickly. And that's all I need to do to get my fully automated self-provisioned VMware HA cluster. There is no human activity involved here. When I click the Create button now, an hour to 2 hours later, I have access to a production-ready, pre-configured VMware HA environment there. To not watch the progress bar for the rest of the session, I'm switching now to an already existing private cloud environment in the Azure portal. So I do see here an existing environment with 5 nodes and 1 cluster in there. And again, I'm here in the native Azure portal, and I can just directly launch the native VMware vCenter management portal. Here we go. The native vSphere portal directly out of the Azure portal. So we are now leaving the Microsoft native management stack and are in a native vCenter environment. We do see the capacity procured here in our cluster. And this is exactly the same tool VMware administrators are leveraging on-prem every day. This is the same version. We're running the exact same software stack to ensure 100% compatibility with your existing environments. So if I want to create a new virtual machine here, it does look and feel exactly the same way as we're used to. I'm leveraging an operating system template here, in this case, a Windows Server template. This is our Ignite Demo 01. Selecting the correct placement options for this so I can find it again. Do a quick template validation. Shouldn't take too long. Here we go. Deploying it, selecting my integrated VMware vSAN, so it's a hyperconverged setup. I have a already configured vSAN capacity in there. We already do see here a preview connection to our Azure NetApp file storage extension. Selecting my destination network and then off the deployment process. So very fast and easy process, only a few mouse clicks to get from a native Azure portal starting from scratch to a full-fledged up and running vCenter environment. While the virtual machine is deploying, let's use a few minutes to take a look at the service-specific portal. There are 2 important details I want us to be aware of. Opening my private cloud here, I do get a summary of the configuration, and I also have the opportunity to escalate my vSphere access privileges. As a just-in-time access, a concept well known in the Azure management space, I can actually get full administrative privilege on vSphere. So even while it's a managed service run by Microsoft, we give you full access to it, enabling you to create your own user groups, to bring in your own add-ons. If you want to bring in additional VMware components like Site Recovery Manager or doing VDI with Horizon, you can absolutely do that. If you want to bring in third-party plugins from our friends like Veeam or Zerto and all the other tools from the VMware ecosystem, you can enable it on top of that. So you really, really have the highest level of administrative privileges in that environment. I can also bring back the virtual machine I just created on vSphere layer into the Azure portal. So I can connect the 2 management backplanes. I've done it here and will show it to you in a few minutes. On the network layer, I do configure the hybrid connectivity to ensure I have a good connection from my on-prem setup into my Azure VMware solution environment. This can be a classic IPsec site-to-site VPN, point-to-site VPN, or an ExpressRoute connection. I also have an integrated ExpressRoute connection as an opportunity to connect from my Azure VMware solution environment back into native Azure, connecting specific Azure VNets or connecting into the public peering to leverage platform services to bring the 2 worlds together. And that enables very great integrated scenarios. For instance, I can leverage the Azure management infrastructure, tools like Azure Backup, Azure Site Recovery to protect my workloads. I can leverage Azure Active Directory as an identity backplane. I can leverage the network and security tool sets like Security Central, like Azure Load Balancer, web application firewalls, and even go up higher the chain and leverage analytics and AI services to work with the data sitting on an AVS environment. With this integrated connection, we have very high bandwidth, low latency connection to make this possible. Now switching back to the native Azure portal. And I just told you we can bring back the recenter management level into Azure. So I'm now opening the list of VMware VMs that are sitting on our Azure VMware infrastructure on the Azure portal. So we do have the opportunity. This is a virtual machine we just created earlier on recenter. It's finished creating. I can just power it up now. Yes, I really want to do that. I can reset it. I can assign text to it to make it part of my natural Azure management-based infrastructure in there. I also can create a new VMware VM out of the native Azure portal. So let's quickly, again, go through the process, selecting a resource group. This will be Night 02, redeploy it to the environment I just showed you, selecting, this is a list from my VMware templates, again, selecting the Windows Server templates, providing credentials to accessing the operating system after deployment. And this is 100% pure native VMware. There is no hypervisor in between, not necessary virtualization. This is really bare metal with vSphere. So I'm not bound to Azure VM t-shirt sizes here. Yeah, I can really slice and dice the virtualization capacity as I want to. Connect it to my already existing network. Where is it? Here it is. Can slice and dice the storage infrastructure from a vSAN perspective if I want to. And with full administrative access, I can even change the fault tolerance level leveraged in vSAN if I want to. Do a quick review and kicking off this creation. All this was in the UI. I know from a production perspective, mass deployments, etc., where we want to leverage something more efficient. So we do a full integration into the Microsoft management stack. We do offer all the deployments I did in the UI to do via an ARM template. We have an infrastructure as code provider. Terraform is ready. And I'm also very happy to announce today the availability of Azure CLI for our Azure VMware solution. Let's give it a second for a Cloud Shell to connect. Here we go. So from a CLI perspective, I can also manage from the native Azure CLI my VMware private cloud, the resource pools, virtual networks, creating new virtual machines out of virtual machine templates. So let me just reuse one for the sake of time. Quickly changing the name here. So I'm really creating here a new virtual machine for Azure VMware in our existing private cloud, leveraging the resource pool. That's the idea of my VMware resource pool, and leveraging the template of my Windows server in there. This should take not more than 2 minutes. And if I now switch back to the vSphere infrastructure, we are already seeing that virtual machine being here deployed. Yeah? So it's really a very tight and close networking connection in there, and there already the process is about to finish. So now we have provisioned our Azure VMware Solutions infrastructure, but we are here to migrate. Yeah? So let's connect to an on-premise environment to finally move some workloads. I'm now here on a management virtual machine that is connected both to my on-premise infrastructure with an express route connection and routing in place, as well as to our Azure VMware solution environment from a recenter perspective. I can use, without further integrating anything on the recenter layer or VMware layer, I can do a cross-recenter vMotion of virtual machines. Yeah, so native VMware capability of replacing workloads in there. And there's an API available to leverage without doing anything of integration to do a fast and easy relocation of workloads. There's also a small UI for that API available. It's a VMware cross-recenter motion utility that I'm leveraging for this. It's very fast and easy. I just enter the authentication information to my vCenters on both ends, yeah, specifying is it the source or the target, host name, username, credentials, certification verification. I did that from both my two vCenters, on-prem as well as Azure. And then I can connect to those and saying, okay, I want to move a VM or multiple VMs from on-prem into my Azure VMware solution. Quickly refreshing the list of virtual machines, selecting a VM. Just select one that is already available. Doing the placement location like I did through when I created a new virtual machine. Clicking submit. And if the demo gods are with us, we now have a networking connection in place between those two sites. And now I'm logging in to my target environment. And while we are still moving the actually hard disk, we already see the virtual machine object being created on the target infrastructure. Was that fast and easy enough? Perfect. That being said, in our enterprise environment, we want to do some additional advanced migration scenarios. Justin is covering that in a minute. Quickly doing a recap of what we did. We did create an Azure VMware infrastructure from scratch, rolling out new capacity from the Azure portal in a private cloud scenario. We did create on this pre-configured HA cluster virtual machines from a vCenter perspective, from an Azure portal perspective, as well as from the newly available CLI, and now we are moving a virtual machine from on-prem to Azure, and to do that on a mass scenario, handing over to Justin. Thank you so much.
Can you guys hear me? There we go. All right, so yeah, pretty cool to see the VMware stuff running native in Azure, huh? It's like, whoever thought, right? One of my teammates says cats and dogs living together in peace and harmony. So I thought that was a very appropriate scenario. So, see if we can get my machine showing up here. Let me swap connections real quick. In the meantime, what we're going to actually show today is VMware's HCX technology. This is a piece of software that they came out with that basically allows you to move VMs at an enterprise level. There we go. And it ties together a couple of different pieces of software from VMware. Obviously, vMotion is one of them. You can do live migrations with this tool. You can do a number of other things as well. For example, come on. Let's see here. So you can do live migrations. You can do cold vMotions. You can do a number of other things that allow you to really accelerate the network movement. Across the screen or across the networks. And so this is basically the enterprise type tool that we see customers using. Got it. The enterprise tool that we see customers using to actually migrate virtual machines at mass scale into this solution. So what it basically combines is there are a couple of appliances that get deployed. There's a WAN acceleration appliance, an NSXT virtual router, a caching appliance, and then a management portal. And all these tools are deployed on both sides of the solution. So we deploy it inside of Azure VMware solutions. And then we also help the customers deploy this in their on-premises VMware environments. And once that tooling is up and running, regardless of the type of connectivity they have, whether they've chosen ExpressRoute or to use the internet or VPN, we're able to use this tool to do migrations at scale across customers' networks. And there's a vCenter plugin, so I'm actually going to demo this from inside of vCenter today. So at a high level, I have a VM here. It's in our western region today, so I'm actually, from a scale perspective, I'm actually running this this is a vMotion basically between two vCenters. One is in the eastern US region from an AVS perspective, and one of them is in the west. So the east region is basically simulating our Azure VMware solution, the environment in which the customer would be migrating to. The western region would be sort of their on-premises data center. So in the on-premises data center, I'm going to go ahead and go down here to my HCX actions. And again, this is a plugin right inside of vCenter, so same tooling that customers are used to. If you're a VMware admin, these plugins are part and parcel to what you do every day. I'm going to click on Migrate to HCX Target Site. There's a dialog box that's going to pop up here, and it's going to give me some options. So the first thing I have at the top here is where I'm going, basically, or where I am and where I'm going to, so I can make sure that I'm going the right direction. From a placement perspective, I do have to specify where I want to go. So I'll pick the destination folder, and I'll pick my folder, just like Benedict picked his. From a storage perspective, I need to pick the storage where this is going to land, and the team and the format. So I want to make sure I put that on my fast storage. And then from a profile perspective, what you can see here is basically we can do a vMotion, which is a live migrate, right? So we can just do 1 or 2 VMs at a time this way. Or I can do a bulk migration, which is basically a cold migrate. We're going to do a vMotion today just because we don't have time to sort of bulk migrate a bunch of VMs, but just to show you guys how this kind of works. From an extended options perspective, some of the stuff that I can do here in the process of making this migration happen is I can remove that are part of the VM. So clean up sort of my source environment as I'm moving over, which is probably a good thing to do. I can force unmount any ISOs. I don't know about you guys, but when I was a VMware admin, I left ISOs mounted on my VMs all the time. And frankly, moving those, because those are physical sort of constructs from a VMware perspective, is problematic. So we want to force unmount those before we migrate. And then I have the option to actually schedule my migration. And this is really, really key for the bulk migrations, right? So when we're doing these, we have a lot of data that we need to copy. We can copy that data during the day or during off hours or whatever makes sense from a networking environment to get it over. But then we can actually schedule our cutover at a specific time. So even if you don't want to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning during the maintenance window, you can go ahead and schedule this to automatically cut those VMs over. So the data replication will happen behind the scenes. And then when the maintenance window hits for the actual cutover, what it will do is shut down the VMs on premises, finish up the migration, and then light them up on the other side for you. So it's a pretty neat option in terms of the ability to actually schedule those migrations. We're not going to do that part of it today. Oops, I canceled out of my dialogue behind the scenes. But what we are going to do is actually look at some of the networking options that we have. So it's going to make me re-choose some of these things. From a network perspective, some of the fun stuff that you can do is actually stretch your layer 2 network from your on-premises environment into the cloud. And what that basically means is that customers can now bring their IP addressing into Azure. And we do that via the NSXT layer. So as long as NSXT has the ability to talk to the source environment and talk to the destination environment, we're able to do basically a layer 2 stretched VLAN. The customers can bring those IP addresses. So you can see down here at the bottom, we actually have that network stretched across, and you would be able to see that in this dialog. And so you can choose, basically, if you want to move the IP addresses with the VMs or not. So I'll go ahead and hit finish here. We'll start the migration, assuming it doesn't bomb out on me here. See if we have any errors at the bottom. Oh, I have to specify my container. And while this is kind of going through here, here's my compute container. All right. So again, just like when we were doing a stretch vMotion, shouldn't need to map all of our networks. Here we go. So obviously you have to pick the destination network as well. We should be good. All right, so there goes our validation. We can retry that and we should finish. Does it not like my virtual machine? Anyway, we'll just pretend that this worked. It actually does work very well. The demo gods are not with me today. So long story short, if you select all your options properly and you get all the fields filled in correctly, whether you're choosing one VM and doing a vMotion, or whether you're doing 30 VMs or 40 VMs or 50 VMs and doing an actual accelerated migration, this tool will bulk migrate those VMs for you from on-premises VMware environments into VMware in Azure, maintaining the same IP addresses, maintaining the same solution, maintaining the same, you can even keep the same virtual infrastructure from a VMware perspective. So your virtual machine hardware will stay the same if you want it to, or you can upgrade that and upgrade VMware tools in the process. So there's some great options in terms of doing bulk migrations into the service. So I'll pause there. I'll hand it back to Divya. She's going to talk to us a little bit more about how we could bring together all of the services that we have in Azure from a dedicated perspective, including SkyTab and some of the unique things that we have from a VMware perspective.
Oh, I think it's 3. No, it's, no, I don't have already plugged it. 3. Okay, I'm back. This time I'm going to make you, entertain you. So this is a story, a Contoso Corporation, and let me walk you through their situation. And I'm sure one of you in this room are undergoing the same situation. Contoso Corp is a multi-billion sales distribution company of over 100,000 products. They have a 3-tiered distributed systems. Their order placement is running on VMware on-prem. The ERP is running on AIX, and they have NetApp appliances at the local data store. Now, Martha is the VP of IT, and she has a huge pressure of not only managing and maintaining and monitoring her infrastructure across the globe, she has a DC evacuation center time bomb clicking. And now she's in between those two roads where she has to decide, A, should I just extend my DC contract, carry over the debt, and not take any risk? Or should I really think about lift and shift? If she thinks about, if she has to do lift and shift, that means she believes that there will be a downtime. Her team and she has to learn new skills. Can she even afford, with this amount of business and business that she's dealing with, she can't afford any downtime or disruption. So Martha and team have heard a lot of buzzwords around Azure, cloud transformation, and all that. And she really wanted to try and see how she can achieve it. So she goes to the Azure portal, and her team does a good job, and I'll walk you through what they did. Let me go to Azure portal through my jump box. Okay. So as you can see, Martha and team, it's 6. I'm not sure why I'm not able to connect. It's not connecting the jump box. Is it PC3? Yeah.
What's your extended mode looking like?
Windows P.
Project, you can't project. You can't display the dialog during a remote connection. Ooh, you're blocked out.
Oh.
From extending, looks like from
Any other way?
I don't know what to say. You can't project out of that laptop.
Is it?
Do Windows P.
Yeah.
No, we need to leave the VM.
Oh, yeah, you need to exit out. Oops, Windows P.
There you go.
Duplicate.
Duplicate.
There you go.
Great.
There you go.
Okay, go back in there.
Phew. Okay. So where was I? So Martha. So Martha and team were able to go to the Azure portal, and they did some really cool experiment. Let me walk through what they did. They went to the, so basically what they did was they meticulously planned their infrastructure mapping. So they took their on-prem NetApp and deployed Azure NetApp files. Then their VMware on-prem, the sales order processing that's running on VMware on-prem, she deployed Azure VMware solutions. And she also created this virtual machine. This is the Windows app running inside the virtual machine. It's a very powerful app. Basically, what this does is it talks to two things. It basically talks to the order processing applications that's running inside AVS, assuming Justin lifted and shifted that process through his HCX into AVS. So order processing is now live. And the virtual machine also talks to the IBMI workload that's running on SkyTab on Azure. So this is something really cool. And the next one is the virtual network. Basically, all these resources talk to each other in a virtual network through the express route connectivity. And all of these resources fall under the same resource group and then within the same Azure subscription. So let me click on really quick on the Azure NetApp files. I already pre-deployed it. Check the mount volume. This is key because I will tell you how to connect the dots. All these resources are deployed under the same virtual network and West Europe under the same resource group. And the mount volume path is important. Then come back. You deploy the AVS. Benedict showed how to deploy AVS, so I will skip that. It's pretty easy. We use the same West Europe location, same resource group, virtual network, and all that. So after 45 minutes, a private cloud is created. I just go click here, and then you launch the vSphere client. The 4 nodes that you displayed, that you created in the Azure portal appears here. From here, I can then map my NetApp volume in 2 different ways. I can directly attach NetApp into my host. And then I can actually get an economical storage of 100 terabytes in addition to the 56 terabytes on the vSAN. Look here, I already have this 100 terabytes and then 56 terabytes. The second way that Martha does is she has the virtual machine that you saw in Azure portal is actually a VMware VM that is created here. And I can also quickly mount the same NetApp volume into the guest VM. And this is where the sales order processing application puts their files on a real-time basis. So I'll switch gears from now. You saw how we created NetApp, we mounted the NetApp, and then the virtual machine is now getting the order processing from AVS. I will log into SkyTab on cloud, SkyTab on Azure. Go here. And let me really quickly query contacts data, for example. SDR. Okay. Here's the contact data on IBMI. And if you say, I just want to quickly show you this particular contact, I can scroll to the right. And got this. So this data is pulled real time by this Windows virtual machine and nicely puts together in the web application. So I can quickly query Erica that I was searching for and appears here. And then virtual machine basically builds this order processing real time from AVS with IBMI, and then built a sales order application for their mobile workforce. So with this, the key takeaways that I want to summarize: you can able to lift and shift your workloads without re-implementation. B, you can continue to use your legacy and yet modernize. 3, you can pick any Azure resources you want, stitch them together, customize it, build it to suit your unique business needs. Thank you. We have 45 seconds. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
And my VM did move, by the way. I picked the wrong
We trust
storage
you.
template. I fixed it. It's moving. I'll prove it. Come look. I'll show you.